All right, so when did Hampton get the call out here to Pineville?
At approximately 12:26, our 911 communications center received a call of a residential structure fire. When units arrived on scene, they had heavy smoke and flame showing from the second and third floor of the condo behind us.
And how long did it take for firefighters to put out the flames?
Well, once fire units got here, they immediately went on an aggressive interior attack, but then had to back out of the structure due to the partial roof collapse. Once they did that, we initiated a second alarm, which brought another contingency of firefighters and equipment. At one time, we had 25 units when you count support units on the scene.
So was this a two-alarm fire?
Yes, it was a two-alarm fire.
Anybody inside?
Yes, there were two people that were rescued. One was transported, one was treated at the scene. At this time, we do have one firefighter who's been transported to a local hospital with appears to be heat exhaustion.
And how about the first individual transfer?
The first individual was transported, but with what we consider non-life-threatening injuries.
When you say they were rescued, did they have to be physically, like, you guys have to physically remove them?
Yes, the first individual had to be physically removed.
Would you know what?
Pulled them out through a window? What would you have to do?
At this time, I don't know how they were. I believe they were on the first floor, though.
Do you know, is that where the fire originated? Do you know yet?
At this time, it's too early to state where the fire originated, but if you look at the fire damage and the pattern behind, most likely it originated in the area of the second floor.
You guys don't have any kind of an idea of when they had started this?
No, it's too early in our investigation right now. Myself and our fire marshals have not even entered the scene yet, since they're still putting out hotspots.
So anything challenging in this fire?
The most challenging part of this particular is actually just the street itself where it's on. If you look, you'll notice it's extremely narrow, so we actually weren't able to get as much equipment in as we needed, so we actually used more personnel on the ground than we did aerials.
Does that delay your response?
It doesn't delay the response, it just, once we set up, it delays some of the tactics that we're able to do, especially with this particular unit, how it has water behind it. Normally we'd like to try to attack a fire in a building from multiple sides, but in this particular case we were only able to do it from Alpha, the front side, and then we had to pull hand lines to the rear.
Is Red Cross assisting any of the people displaced?
At this time, the Red Cross hasn't been assisted. The apartment complex has been assisting. There are 12 units impacted. I'm not sure the number of people. All 12 units in that building, though, are uninhabitable.
Is the building going to be deemed a total loss?
Again, too early to say. I haven't been in any of the downstairs ones to be able to look and tell you the damage. But normally with this much damage, this much water being flowed, water damage is a large part of the problem.
Were there a sprinkler system? I know modern condos sometimes have those.
Yes, in this particular one, there is no sprinkler system. At the building code at the time when they were built, it wasn't required.
86, right?
I'm not sure on the year it was built.
I know you guys said you haven't gone in there yet, so you probably can't answer this question, but I was asking, at this point, is there any reason to think that this may have been arson?
No, at this time, there's nothing that makes us think that this fire is suspicious, but it's still very early.
Did the weather at all play a factor? I mean, it's not super windy, but we do have a little bit of a breeze. Did that play a factor at all?
Well, the wind coming off the water itself tends to a lot of times be able to push fire. I mean, it is probably 10 to 12 miles an hour with gusts maybe a little bit more. So it does hamper some of the efforts with the amount of smoke and the amount of fire that is wind driven.
Do you have a message to other neighbors in this community, kind of warning them or, making sure they're cautious of anything? I know you haven't really deduced a cause of this fire, but anything you're generally warning neighbors to be aware of?
Same thing we tell everyone else, have a working smoke alarm. Smoke alarms save lives. Smoke alarms are the first and the most important thing you can do to make sure your family is safe. And then next would be have a fire exit plan.
There's a lot of smoke put off by this fire. Is there any air quality concerns for people who may be, sensitive to have asthma and things like that?
Initially when we arrived, there was quite a bit of smoke, but it dissipates rather quickly. At this time, there's no concerns for air quality.
Fire, I'm not going to say the fire is obviously out or anything like this, but as we're looking at it right now, what's the plan of attack for you all to do whatever you got to do from this point forward? Because it still looks like there's a lot going on.
So currently, what we'll try to do is we want to make sure there are no hot spots. We want to make sure that When you have a partial collapse like we had, a lot of the debris underneath is still burning and water doesn't get to that. So that's why you still see them using aerial devices to put a large amount of water on it to try to hit all those hot spots before we go in there.
Is there any reason where nearby neighbors who are kind of on this same adjoining road that weren't really affected by the fire flame-wise, is there any reason they may need to be evacuated at all?
No, not at this time. There's no reason to do any evacuation. All right, I keep staring at you, even though you're there.
I'm using the word obviously again. I shouldn't be using this, but no one's gone into the structure to see if there's anything going on.
When you say in the structure, initially firefighters were in the structure. At this time, we've done what we call a primary and a secondary search. So of the bottom apartments, the ones that don't have collapsed, that haven't been collapsed, we go in and we want to make sure that we haven't missed any potential victims. So that's why it's called a primary and a secondary search.
So you've done the primary?
Yes, right. And secondary on the available apartments.
Just to reiterate, to clarify, you said 2 people were right. One of those people was taken to a hospital for treatment, and then you had 1 firefighter that was injured. Correct?
Yes, a total of 3 people.
You know, and sorry, you already answered that question.
So you said you were here when the fire first started. Would you mind sort of recapping to me, exactly what you saw, when you saw it, where you were when you saw it?
Oh, sure. I was on the other side of this guest house here. It's a fishing pier over there. So that's what I was doing, fishing. Fish wasn't biting, but I was out there. And I looked up, and it started at the top of the apartment building. And the fire came out on the porch. And then once it came out on the porch, I guess it's got more oxygen, and it just started running down the condo, the whole building. So I did try to call 911, but I panicked so bad, I forgot where I lived at. And so at that time, I told her that I was in Dove Hollow, and she said, not no Dove Hollow. I said, well, dockside. She said, oh, we got it, somebody's on the way. And after that, I came up and I walked over here on the bridge, and I started taking photos of it and filming it. And that was about it.
And would you describe again, you said the fire just kind of spread. You saw it initially burst at the top of the house, but then it spread. I mean, how fast were the flames? How fast did those flames spread?
Pretty fast. When I first saw it, I didn't know exactly what it was. It was just orange all the way across. And then it seems like once it got outside, everything just went up. And it started crawling down one side of the building to the other side of the building. It almost looked like it was alive. You know what I mean? It's kind of scary. And so I packed up because I could feel the heat on the pier, even though I was a long ways from it. But it was throwing sparks out here in the field. Well, by that time, the fireman was here, so they put the sparks out, the little fire that was out in the field, they put that out. But other than that, that was about it.
Wow.
But it is scary, though. It's real scary.
Wow. Okay. And when you say the flames just kind of went up, I mean, we were talking about this a little off camera, but how high were the flames?
The flames really didn't get that high on top of the building. It just burned down. You know what I mean? It didn't really go up. It just started burning downwards.
What about the smoke cloud that stemmed from the flames? I mean, did that get some?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, people, it's online now. They saw it from 64, all the smoke, from the flames. Yeah.
Could you did you smell it at all? I mean, did it kind of make it hard to breathe for you being kind of so close to it?
No, it didn't. I think it's because of the way that the wind was blowing and the flames was actually going out this way. I don't know if that's south or west, but it started going out that way, and I was over here. So no, it didn't bother me at all.
And you described this fire, you said this before, it was super scary to the point where you almost didn't really know what to do. You didn't know.
Exactly.
You kind of forgot where you were. Would you mind speaking a little more to that?
Yeah, I did. I forgot because I had never seen anything like that before. Like I said, at first I didn't even know what it was, until I looked at it real close, and it was flames. And that's when I ran up here on the bridge, because there's a lady that sits up there on the porch all the time. She watches me fish. So that's who I was really looking for. And I couldn't see up there, so I walked a little bit further, and I saw that she wasn't there, so I came back down, started photographing it, videotaping it, and it's just awesome. I'm telling you, man. Like I said, I've never seen anything like it before.
And have you I mean, do you know anyone who lives sort of over on this side at all?
No, I don't. For the most part, everybody around here kind of keep to themselves, you know. We'll wave and speak, and that's about it. But as far as conversations, no. I don't know. Matter of fact, I didn't even know what that place was called over there. I know I'm on the dark side, and I don't even know what that side is, you know. But, oh man, it was something.
Okay. And how long have you been living here, if you don't mind me asking?
5 years. Yeah, just before COVID, we moved in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you've never seen a fire like that here. I mean, well, at all. let alone here.
Anywhere. I've never seen anything like that anywhere. That's why I panicked. You know, after I found out what it was, it's actually a fire. You know, and it burned so quickly. You know, got my wife thinking about moving, but I think it was the oxygen that once it got outside of the building, it just, like I said, it just started burning down. Flames was just dropping to the next level, and oh wow, it just seemed like the fire department was going to never get here. But they was pretty fast, you know, they were. But the fire was just faster. That's all I can say about that.
Do you have a message for maybe some of your neighbors who might have been affected by this fire? I mean, any sort of well wishes you would like to share with them or support?
Well, like I said, I don't really know anybody, but I wouldn't want this to happen to my worst enemy. Something like this here, because I know they probably got away with their lives. I understand no one got hurt. From what I understand, no one got hurt, but they lost their personal property. You know. So my wife has already talked to one of the neighbors over there and told them that if they needed anything, she gave them the telephone number, give us a call. So that's the name of that too.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add on to kind of your experience today?
No, that's about it. That's really about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
sir.
just to clarify, you live across the street, right?
I live right there.
So you like come out here frequently, right?
Yeah, I come out here and fish on the pier. It's a fishing pier on the other side of this building.
And obviously you were fishing when it happened. You can tell Shannon's obviously, but if you were in your place, or kind of just out front, or even in your place, would you have noticed it? Do you think, or more so because you're out here?
I would have noticed it once it got a little larger. See, because like I said, I showed you the film, and it just crawled out of the apartments, you know. And once it got out, it just went on its way. It was, like I said, it was pretty scary to me anyway. Like I said, I forgot where I lived at. I couldn't even give them my address. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.